This next bit is titled Graveyard. It's still part of the same chapter, it's just like a subsection, I guess, I don't know. Graveyard! Lucario was happy to know that he would walk out into the open with his dear trainer at last. No more hiding inside the house in the real world. He was free to go wherever he pleased. Through this time, he would never leave Chris behind for anything in the world. His company was always refreshing and a good sign. He felt like a true Pokemon owned by a travelling trainer. He wished the first urban setting they would visit was less gloomy than what Threed was. Threed was, by all accounts, a creepy town shrouded in a perpetual night. The graveyard was the worst place to be, and it did feel incredibly morbid that they came up from underground where coffins were buried. Glancing around, the town was like a ghost town with citizens holed up in their homes to avoid the zombies and other monsters that roamed the dark corners, and that was just beyond the fences of the graveyard. The aura of evilness seemed to be stronger there, much to Lucario's distaste. Through his eyes, he saw the red aura actively trying to pierce through the children with desperation, but they were unfazed by the supernatural attacks. Huh. That's an opening paragraph. That's not so bad, actually. You know, I'm not going to say it was like, you know, really well written, but it was pretty good, actually. Oh, kudos, AuraChannelerChris, you know, that's alright. Not bad. I'm not sure about the sentence, rather the phrase, he saw the red aura actively trying to pierce through the children. I don't really know what to make of that. Ugh, we were locked up down there? Ness asked, spotting the large hole the Skyrunner caused when it crashed down. Gross! We were next to corpses! It's not as bad as the roaming zombies and evil puppets, Paula said. Juff took off his glasses to clean them with his shirt. What a drastic change in setting, he commented, putting glasses back on. I'm used to seeing a wide snowland from my room in the boarding school. This is creepy. Zombies here were real. It scared Chris to know that. When he spotted a limping figure from behind a tombstone, its decayed green skin, grey hair, and red eyes proved it was definitely a zombie. He shivered and wisely hid behind Lucario, who noticed the abomination and narrowed his glare at it. There was a sickening red aura emanating from the monster, but the aura itself wasn't its own completely. A portion looked off. It had been reanimated by an outside force somewhere in the land where Lucario couldn't reach even within his 100 miles of radius. You know you've reached a new low and brainless zombies lock you up, Ness said. Well, they're not entirely mindless, Paula noted. They would have eaten us right there at the hotel they lured us in, but they kidnapped us. Why would they skip brain eating altogether is surely a big dumb move on their part I'm grateful for. I'm still shocked to see real zombies anyway, Chris muttered. You know, just when you think it's going to be okay. Just when you think the writing is, you know, not too bad. All of a sudden, in comes Chris to ruin it all again. Anyway. Just please, let's not find any brain-eating ones. It was then he noticed a zombie coming from the west, stretching out its arms their way. He screamed and hid behind Lucario. Due to the scream eliciting complete, utter annihilation... what? That's not true. It would only be true if the protagonists all died. Immediately. Lucario growled loudly, charged ahead, and delivered a force palm on the zombie's face, blasting off its head far away from Threed, the force of the wind disintegrating it into nothing. More importantly, he had beheaded something else yet again. He's never gonna fucking learn, is he? It's good, though. You know, it's not so good when it's, you know, a relatively benign caveman who just happens to be a bit pissed off. But, you know, if it's a zombie, that's, you know, that's pretty good. Not so bad. I don't see why they'd complain about it. Aside from the fact that they always complain about literally everything. Chris and Juff got horrible flashbacks from before, but Ness and Paula were far less grossed out and more impressed at the Aura Pokemon's strength. They didn't mind the beheading just because it was applied on a zombie and not a living creature. Yeah, fair enough. While Lucario lamented what he had done, the zombie's corpse collapsed on the ground and turned to dust. Wow, Ness said. That was creepy awesome, but awesome anyway. Indeed, Paula noted, making Lucario turn around to see the mixed facial expressions. Your strength is huge. You're going to prove to be a valuable asset before we make it to Gygus. Just so you know, Lucario stole glances from Chris and Juff's sickened expressions. Chris and I aren't tagging along for long. Yeah, I knew this was too good to be true, Ness said, sighing. What a shame. If only Buzz had said there was a big blue dog guy aside from us. His right eye twitched at the nickname. My name is Lucario, Lucario said with some venom. I mean, you didn't tell them that. It's not that big of a deal, is it? Oh yeah, maybe he did, I don't know. Oh yeah, right, Ness said. Sorry. Yeah, we probably did tell him. Who cares? Juff looked at Chris while holding his stomach. They're lucky they didn't see what he did before, he whispered. Somehow, I feel he's going to repeat that again, Chris whispered back, as Lucario walked back to his side. Careful with the beheading. You never got to do that back home. I don't expect you to do it again, he said. My apologies, Lucario said, feeling guilty. Just hearing you scream prompted me to jump into action. Ah, the classic sense of overprotection, Ness suddenly said, getting into the conversation as they started to walk to the cemetery's exit. It never fails to come up. While they walked to the exit, the otherworldly duo was pondering when they should inform Ness that he was being targeted by an army of bad guys that had no relation to Gygas, though it was also unclear how long they needed to keep him safe, and by extension themselves. Soon enough, they would possibly leave the children behind. Everything was a mess, and they could only help the trio in their tasks. Only. Chris's memories of the plot were a little hazy. He wanted to ask what they were going to do in the zombie town. Once having exited the graveyard from the west side, he asked them, What are we going to do now? Eradicate the zombies from Threed, Paula said. This is clearly Gygas' doing. There should be an explanation to the odd occurrences here. Yet we don't have any clues about where to go, Ness said. Well, kind of. There are these zombies blocking the way up north to some kind of entrance. We got to move those out of the way because there are a lot of them lurking around that area. Let me take them all on, Lucario said. All of them will fall quickly against me. It was the most reasonable solution to sick Lucario to the zombies for a quick and easy victory. Well, I don't know what sick means. It's written like sick as in, when someone makes like a grammatical error, they write sick. But I don't know. I don't know what it would mean in this instance. Whatever. But Paula had other thoughts. No, she said, making Lucario blink. The zombies are quite frail even against our PSI. We could have used our powers to make it through, but we thought attacking that many zombies over there would make the rest attack the people in the buildings. She looked around as they were crossing the street, spotting many houses with closed windows and barricaded doors. It'd be nasty if everyone in town would confront the zombies without weapons while we're off investigating what's up north. It wouldn't just be nasty, it'd be fucking genocide. The otherworldly boy stared into space, not believing that Lucario's Herculean strength wasn't effective for the task. Up until now, his strength was a boon for the journey, quite literally dismembering any enemies who looked funny their way. Really? Because you haven't really expressed much gratitude for that up to this point. Destiny clearly didn't want to leave things very easy, as proven by Paula. I'm speechless, Lucario said. Don't be a dick about it. She made a good point. Ness gave him a dull look. Strength isn't just going to solve everything, he said. You gotta be smart and think of everything. You're the heavy hitter of the group. You're suited to just beat up a few enemies. Lucario felt a little broken to know that. He looked down at Chris. I do think I need more training in my thought process, he said. We never went around that back home. Excuse me. That's because there was absolutely no need for it in a place where nothing dangerous happened, Chris said. Now it's very, very different. To tell the truth, Lucario was actually going to enjoy doing such training. For once, he and Chris could look more like a Pokemon and his trainer. Okay, we get it. Shut up about it. He was excited to do actual training than just doing push-ups with a bed on his back while Chris rested on top. Though his yearning for battle was becoming a reality, his trainer had a different idea altogether. A task to keep universes safe would ban them from normal Pokemon battles, and the boy was chained to fighting himself as well. Multiple stomach growls made them stop in their tracks. In unison they blushed and looked away. This is what happens when flying ships crash land during my sandwich hour. Sandwich hour? Oh, bloody hell. Ness told Juff. Alright then, I saw a pizza place down south. We've got enough cash to spend on one. Eating a mundane food with people he would probably never meet before made Chris get curious. Eating with Lucario back home was always enjoyable, but this was a serious change of pace, which was also added with the fact that the Aura Pokemon was walking out without people screaming and tossing rocks his way. But now the boy was puzzled if video game food would even have an effect on him. Sure, Paula said. I like the idea. Let's go.